Okay. I wanted to show you guys, does anybody have any questions in terms of why become a K through 12 teacher versus a college instructor? Because I teach high school.
Yes, why did you?
Why?
Why did you?
Why did I? First of all, this program, because I was hired to plan the curriculum, I kind of built the units the way I want them. I teach kids words that are commonly used, words that are important, words that are not driven by a textbook per se, or a list that somebody came up with 30 years ago that we're still, using the same. So K through 12, I would say there's a lot more freedom, in my opinion. In a college setting, if I were, first of all, I'd need a Master's of Arts and then a PhD to teach college. But in a college setting, there's usually already a set curriculum, a set book, a set faculty, so I would go in, adopt that, and teach it. And I find it really hard, personally, if I don't agree with the topics or if I don't agree with the curriculum. I find it very difficult to teach it in a exciting and communicative and fun approach. So K through 12, it's a fun kids, it's a fun age, yes?
How many jobs could you really find teaching K through 12? Because I haven't ever encountered a high school that really teaches Japanese.
So in terms of Ohio, we don't have that many programs. Our program's growing, so I'm just saying. It's growing. In terms of Ohio, you're right, there's not that many. There's some in Perry, Ashtabula, Toledo, Cincinnati, Dublin, now Marysville. But outside of Ohio, there are schools, like for example in California, Japanese is a common language. Right? It's just, I think it's geographically. It depends on where you are. It's relevant there. People do so much business with Japan, so Japanese is just as common as Spanish. Whereas in Ohio, it's tough. The numbers have been growing, even though Japan is the #1 foreign investor in the state of Ohio, and our kids are not learning Japanese. They're learning everything but. So I think through events like this and through people talking, I think programs will grow. But in terms of teaching K through 12, probably maybe out of Ohio if you consider it. If you want to get out of Ohio where it's warmer.
I'm from California, so that works.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. Rebecca, you worked in California. Japanese.
Yeah, I was, in my district, I was one of 6 full-time Japanese teachers.
That's
But
very,
Los Angeles is expensive, so.
right. Whereas here I'm one in my building and I'm surrounded by 10 Spanish teachers. So there's a difference because you have the numbers. The students are all studying Spanish, so you have more Spanish teachers, more Spanish classes. Also, I find that sometimes Japanese is perceived as a very difficult, undoable, you can't do it. Like my own thought process in 8th grade was, all I know is it looks Asian and it looks really hard, so I didn't want to take it. I had no concept of what Japanese was. So I think a lot of times programs don't exist because even adults that make decisions like on your school boards and principals and people that make decisions at statewide level think that Japanese is impossible, therefore they don't think that it's something that's important that should be taught in their district level, yes?
And how can we break that barrier?
How can we break that barrier?
Because I'm also in the music, that's my primary, and I can't tell you how many of my students will say, I don't want to play that music, it's too difficult, because someone had told them that,
Right.
and it's not.
Right.
And I remember when I first started learning Japanese, everybody would tell me it was very hard, and I had that mindset, and it was very hard to learn, because
Right.
I taught myself.
Right.
And then once my teacher said, no, it's not hard, and there's like, it's so easy, just do this, and that, I'm like, you're right, it really is easy. It's so mathematically laid out that it's not a difficult language to learn at all. So how can we promote that kind of ideology for the future?
Number one, I think as educators we have to stop saying that Japanese is hard. I've been in schools, I've met teachers that tell their kids how hard it is every day and how stupid they sound if they have a bad pronunciation. That's probably not the best thing you should tell your kids, because your kids after that, they already are worried about sounding stupid at a K through 12. Even in college, even as adults, we're so worried about what people think about us. So number one, I think as educators we have to make it as accessible, and we have to tell our kids that it's accessible, and here I am, and here I did this, and here's this company. Like my students visited THK Manufacturing on Tuesday, and every single interpreter and translator in there was not Japanese. It was an American person. So here are these examples of people that are plenty capable of speaking the language. They did it. They studied abroad. They learned their kanji, cried, learned some more kanji. It's a relationship. And here they are doing it. So I think number one is educators. Number two, educators have to advocate outside of their high school building. I think we have to send newsletters and talk about our programs and say, look what my kid can do and look what my students are doing with the local community outside. We have to tell parents, because parents are another great either support system or a system that breaks kids down. So if a parent tells you, we think it's hard, the student, I mean, that students listen to their parents. As children, we think they're right all the time. A lot of times I have parents that come into my classroom, well, this is so hard. You don't even know. You don't even know what I'm doing in my room. Your student's doing it. Look at that. It's hard to them because I think as adults, they've also grew up learning language very differently than the way we're trying to change and teach it now. So I think as educators, we have to change our approach and advocate for how important and how it's accessible. And as parents, we have to kind of open up our minds. Yes?
Yeah, so I'm from China Maker Society, and we do a speech contest, and we appreciate the ears and all the other OHJAN teachers. Thank you so much for teaching Japanese to Americans. So to add the comment to his question is that it is, I think it's helpful for American teachers teaching and show example to the other kids. For example, if I teach Japanese, they think it's easy because I'm Japanese. And if I turn to Japanese culture, it is, I know it's good because I'm Japanese. But it's from the American perspective to teach and then promote the Japanese culture is probably more accessible to the general public. So I think that would be a great idea. And also I have a little personal question to Iya, that when you said your mom said take Japanese and then you took it, and then you said if you don't like the class, don't take it. But apparently you liked it,
Right.
and then you continue.
Right.
So my question is, what part of Japanese, learning Japanese or Japanese culture, specifically, like if you really psychoanalyze yourself, what did you like about it to continue? So that's the kind of question, as a Japanese, curious about Russian America to learn Japanese.
It was so different structurally, and kanji to me was fascinating because it seemed so hard. It seemed so different from what I was used to. English and Spanish have the same alphabet, and they have grammar that's not super different. I mean, all grammar is different, but it has a lot more similarities. Russian has cases and a different alphabet. English doesn't have cases in the English alphabet, and Japanese is completely different. And so because I think it was so different, and I remember reading in class, I remember my teacher would tell me like cultural stories or show us pictures, and it just fascinated me. Like one day I can go and see that, and one day like I can go to these cool tall buildings and eat the food and the giant pieces of toast with bananas and food too. I really like food. Food drives you, you should go. Right? Part of experiencing a culture is eating their food and talking about food. You don't have no idea how often we talk about food and what was good and how much it was and where I got it. So, do you have 2 minutes?
1 minute.
Do you know how to, well, my whole let me type over here?
Exit out.
Okay. Let me show you something really quick. Yeah, 10, say. As part of my ever-going advocacy journey, I think a cool thing you can make to talk about advocating kind of why you should take Japanese, you can interview your students and have them talk, so I want to show you really quick. Hello. This never happened in class, by the way. Ever. The internet always works.
Yeah, up at the top, like allow.
What?
Top right.
Allow to pop up.
Oh. Alumni. Oh no, there's no sound.
Yeah, on the tablet. This is you. Click on audio. Yeah, so you touch it.
Just flash it? Yeah.
That should.
Allow.
Like allow.
and the 9th grade.
My name is Michael Hockman. I'm a sophomore. This is my first year in Japanese.
Hi, my name is Cole Thompson, and I'm a sophomore. And this is
ESSA won't tell you this, but she's been recognized nationally for her classroom, for the amount of reality that she has in her classroom. So look behind the students to see.
I wanted a language that's different than Spanish because I wanted it to be different, and I felt like it would be more useful afterwards if I moved out of the country.
I chose Japanese because it was different than Spanish. Like last year, Marysville only offered Spanish, and I thought that would be boring because everybody else was doing it.
Notice the musical transition. I didn't make this.
Good experience.
It's been interesting. The class is taught differently than.
Probably sensei and just learning in general.
Most other classes, specifically the other foreign language classes, there's less book work and it's very group oriented and it's fun and it's easy to get a good grade if you try and turn in your work unlike others.
My favorite thing all year has probably been all the partner activities that we've done. We've done a lot of board games, different group activities. I really like working with other people. Kia Sensei is really good about that. She's a really good, personable teacher. Probably my favorite teacher.
Okay, you want me to stop? So this is an example of what you can do to advocate for your program. So I think that's it.